Hello and welcome to the class for Monday, October 26th, game design. Let me let you guys in from the waiting room. Hello.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
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 Anybody do anything interesting over the weekend, like play a cool game?
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm. What game?
Deadbolt. Let me look at this team. Yeah, Deadbolt.
And what kind of game is that?
Let me just go to the store page and indie and stealth, I guess, for user defined. I don't know. It's been on my eye for a while, so I decided to get it.
Cool. That sounds fun. Let me look it up real quick. Deadbolt game. Deadbolt on Steam. Ooh. Maybe we should watch the trailer. Let's see. Share my screen, share. Let's see. Oh, I guess this isn't really a trailer as much as it is just showing the gameplay. Looks like fun. The Bloody Mary. Cool. That looks like fun. Yeah, it does look sweet. I agree. Very cool. First quarter 2016. Oh, so it's a few years old. That looks cool. All right. Thank you for sharing that. So let's see now. I got to see who's here today. Where's my list? There it is. Okay. So yeah. So Coulter, I see you don't have a microphone today. Maybe you don't usually have a microphone, but were you able to put your presentation together, or are you still working on that? I don't see any response from Coulter, so maybe he stepped away from his computer for a second, but we'll see. Maybe he'll respond to that question a little later. Let me go ahead and let's see. I'm sharing my screen, so I should be able to go to the class website and let's see. Okay. So let me start off by telling you guys about this crazy article I read about Sierra Leone. I'm going to click on this link right here. So it says, let me make this bigger. It says you have to play a board game before you can get a driver's license in Sierra Leone, which I think is pretty cool. It says in the good old days, all you had to do to get a driver's license was, prove that you could drive. But now, at least in Sierra Leone, you have to play a board game before you can even take the licensing test. The game is called The Driver's Way and requires players to roll stoplight-themed dice and move models of classic cars around a board, Reuters reports. They must also answer questions about the country's road laws, traffic signs, and so on. The game costs 60,000 leones, or about $14. Wannabe drivers have to pay for it themselves and then play at least once before they can come in for their test. Most crashes here are a result of ignorance of the highway code, the game's creator, Maury Lengor, told Reuters. And most drivers don't even understand half the road signs. She added that since most young people hate reading, she thought she'd try putting the important traffic laws into a format more attractive to them. Why not just Snapchat them driving rules? Anyway, what do you guys think of that? You think that's a pretty cool idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, there is a whole category of games, you know, that you might call educational games, and what they do is they teach people things. So there's games that teach people how to manage their finances. Like, has anybody ever heard of that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
No.
Okay, so there's a guy, I want to say his name is I think he has a Japanese last name. I can't remember. Let me see if I can look it up. So let's see, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Audio book. Oh yeah, Kiyosaki, right? So anyway, this guy right here, who wrote this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, also made a board game that you can play to learn how to do your finances, which is a pretty cool idea, and it's a pretty cool sort of add-on to the book if you think about it. Let me see if I can find the game. Let's see, Rich Dad, Poor Dad board game. I don't know if it's called that. Maybe it's just a finance board game. Let's see. Oh, this looks like it. Cash Flow. Rich Dad, Poor Dad board game. Amazon.com. Yeah, Cash Flow, I guess, would be the name of it. Spontaneous. Okay, well, let's do Cash Flow. That looks like it's the one. Discontinued by manufacturer. Oh, wow. I guess I guess maybe it doesn't teach you how to do your finances that well if it's been discontinued. But anyway, practice real world investing, fake money, real lessons. Learn the difference between an asset and a liability. Discover the power of understanding your personal finance statement. Cash Flow 101 is recommended for ages 14 and up. So we'll look at some of the charts or some of the pictures here. There's the game. There's some different coins. Looks like a rat race. You got little rats there. There's cash and looks like pencils. Looks like different careers there, like truck driver, engineer. That's interesting because you could find out, like if you're assigned a certain avatar or a certain role, you find out how much the average is that person makes and what they can do with that money. That's kind of cool. Make your money work hard for you so you don't have to work hard for your money. And then there's the little inevitable promo for the book, right? It's really smart to make a whole game to help you promote your book. So anyway, that's of the topic of educational games. All right, let me go back to the website here. All right, now I decided today I was going to share with you guys the next chapter of the textbook, but I decided that instead I'm just going to go over the blog post for today, for this week, and then give you guys time to work on your games. Because of course, Wednesday is the day that we're looking to see those games in Tabletop Simulator so we can go in and do some play testing with them. So I'll give you some extra time today to work on those. So let me just go over the blog post and then we'll switch over to that portion of the class. So, for the blog post today, I basically did a follow-up on a much earlier post, that one that I did earlier in the year. And that was the post where I came up with this idea to take the back of a game box and make it look like an old newspaper. And anyway, so that was a while ago. And since that time, you know, games evolve, rules change, you know, graphics change. And so there've been many changes to this game, Diner Duel. And so it was time to sort of revamp the box. And you know, the decision was to stick with the idea of the newspaper layout, but to update that to match how the game has been updated. So this was the original graphic that was created to look like an old newspaper, and then this is how it fit on the box, just as this section over here with other things around it. Printed in blue because the box was going to be printed in this this dark blue and this dark red initially. Well, so the design on the front of the box changed, and now it's a much lighter blue and red. It's not actually this neon. It just looks this way when you save it as a ping from Photoshop. So that's the front of the box, and the back of the box had to change too. So uh, you know, it says due to the change, the back of the box had to be updated. Now, a coworker looked at my design here and made some suggestions. She said that this design looked like it was from an old Western newspaper, you know, because of this flourishy top and the little hand that's kind of a Monty Python-esque hand. And so she suggested, since this game takes place in the 1950s, that we should make the newspaper look like one that existed in the 50s, right? And let's see what's some of her other choices. So she also said that it would be a good idea to show like a little bit of Mars down there and maybe some of the robots, because this game's all about fighting robots, you know, that live on Mars, the Martian robot army that's coming to invade. And also maybe take this text and justify it, which means make it go all the way from a straight line on the right of the page to a straight line on the left, which is how newspaper columns were printed. And then, you know, update other information like how much did a newspaper cost in 1959 when this game takes place. So I processed all that information and I made this graphic here. This is the update of the back cover. You can see it's in that red and blue, the brighter red and blue. And, you know, this is how it looks. And then below this is a sort of analysis of the changes that were made. So let me go down to that section here. You can see that the graphic is in there again, and then there's these analysis which talks about all the changes. So let me go down here, and I'll just, because I remember the changes, I'll just tell them to you instead of reading that. But basically at the top here, I updated the this is called the masthead, the top of a newspaper, and this is the logo. And of course, you know, everything from the New York Times to the Washington Post has this kind of scripty old world font. So I found this scripty old world font on 1001fonts.com, which is a good site. It used to be my favorite site to go to find fonts. Now Dafont, D-A-F-O-N-T, is my favorite. And 1001 Fonts, I rarely go back there, but when I do, I get some good surprises. Most of the fonts I use on this page were found on 1001 Fonts because Dafont, which doesn't usually let me down. They didn't have a lot of 1950s newspaper fonts. So I found that font. I came up with a name, a fake name for the newspaper, World News Daily, just you know, generic enough. I wanted to throw the word world in there because it's kind of about a world war, Mars coming to invade Earth. I looked at some reference of old 50s newspaper, which I found on the internet. And I noticed that in the right-hand corner, they always put which edition it was, you know, the first edition, the late afternoon, or the final edition. I found out you can type something into, you know, Google. You can type, you know, how much did a newspaper cost in 1959? It'll bring back the result. And I found out that the Sunday paper cost 25 cents, and I like that number. So I made this a Sunday issue. And then you can even type into Google, hey, what day was a Sunday in February of 1959? And it'll tell you, you know. And so I found out that February 8th was a Sunday. And so I just like that, you know, these little you know, they're not really Easter eggs. I guess they're only Easter eggs for me, but I like that little bit of accuracy in there. It kind of makes it fun. I made the Tucson, the newspaper based in Tucson, because I also like to throw in that little bit where the game was produced. And then a date. We looked up how old Arizona is, how old Tucson is, and it's hundreds of years old. So, or at least Arizona is. So we could put in 1850 for the year it was established, because it's at least 100 years before this. Then I noticed that some newspapers, like the New York Times, had their little motto in a box off to the left of the masthead. The New York Times, of course, is all the news that's fit to print. And the Washington Post's motto is democracy dies in darkness. And so I just made something up, you know, the stories that make the modern world turn. It was originally the stories that make the world turn, but then there was a weird spot here, an empty spot, so I put in modern. So anyway, I'm done with my masthead, right? I think it looks kind of like a generic 50s masthead. Then I wanted a headline, and the headlines were often printed in these big, bold sans serif fonts, and they were fully justified, which means a straight line on the right and the left. and I put in a headline that ties to the article, which is 4 volunteers needed to stop Martian invasion. And then I put in the body copy down here, which is also fully justified. And it's using a serif font, like a newspaper or typewriter font. And it says a tiny Martian robot army sent to Earth to prepare for an imminent invasion has turned a 1950s diner into a staging area for war games. The government is looking for 4 volunteers to pose as collaborators. The mission will be to sabotage the war games, thwart the Martian attack, and expose a human double agent who has been providing classified information to the alien invaders. Now then, down here in section 3, my coworker said, hey, you need a picture of Mars. Well, of course, they wouldn't have a picture of Mars if they were printing this article. So there's something called an artist's rendition that you can do. And this is like, the artist's rendition of Mars. I'm sure he's drawing these little cartoon robots on Mars, but it was the best I could do. And I liked the way it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute. And these are the actual robots and the rocket that are in the game. So, what the heck, right? Now I learned something interesting about this. You guys have probably seen pictures on TV or on the internet. Sometimes when they have a court case and cameras aren't allowed into the room, then they have the sketch artists in the room, right?
Right.
And when an artist draws a sketch of a person that's sitting in the room or something that's in the room with them, it's called an artist's rendering because the artist can see it, right? However, when an artist is drawing something that they can't see, they've just been told about or it's been described to them, it's called an artist's rendition. So
Oh.
I didn't know that difference. I had to look it up, but
Yeah.
those little things are important. They make you feel good, like you did your homework, but then other people who are in the know who actually know that stuff, when they see that, they appreciate that, right?
Yeah, it makes it seem more authentic too.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then the final section down here, I just added like a little fake barcode. I'll put a real barcode in there. I added the logo for the game company and then a link to the URL or information about the URL so you could go there. I just remembered it. I think it would be a good idea to put a QR code in here too so you could scan it.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, the way this ends is games are constantly evolving. The graphics have to evolve with them. It's very important and also challenging to maintain consistency throughout a game, but designers need to be willing to go the extra mile to update their graphics as their games grow. So, as your game is evolving, there's 2 places you got to go. You got to update the rules and you got to update the graphics. And then you have to see how that change has affected everything else in the game, because it's like dominoes. And now you might have to rebalance part of your games, from the mechanics and dynamics perspective. Anyway, so that's the blog post for today. And so, as I said, what I want to do is give you guys some time to work on your games. But before you do that, does anybody want to show us anything and maybe get some feedback on some of their game development?
I could show you what where we're at now.
Okay, great.
Cool beans. Okay, cool. So here we are. We now we have the mats in here, added these. So this is the enemy mat on the right side, player mat on the left side. And then, oh yeah, also I changed the background. So
Nice.
so now it's less like, it's not really the interior of some random person's house. It's just a creepy forest.
Now, Creed,
So
did
fits better.
you just find a 3D picture somewhere?
No, so actually, I looked up custom backgrounds for Tabletop Simulator. I looked that up on Google, and then the first thing I found was a Steam page that was like, oh, I made this custom background. It's like a creepy forest. And if you just subscribe to me, then you'll be able to download it. So I subscribed to them, and then I got a link in my Steam inbox that just had this picture in it. So
Cool.
I just kind of lucked out, honestly. I was really surprised that this was the first thing that popped up because it kind of worked out perfectly. But yeah, so we got the player mats in. Oh, and then I also added, I don't think that you guys are going to be able to hear anything because I have a headset on, but I added some creepy music. It's like it's from a video I found on YouTube that was like, it was literally titled like creepy 3 hours of creepy music, creepy ambient music. So I just added it for like something to play in the background. I think it adds to the whole theme of like being a crazy monster in this creepy environment. And then one other thing that we added, hold on, where is it? Oh yeah. So it's just kind of a smaller thing, but um the these guys, the mini mechs, are actually renamed to enforcers. Eduardo was like coming up with the name and he decided that enforcer sounded better and I thought it was a cool name too. So it's another change we made. And yeah, I mean, we're pretty much ready to go. Yeah, but I was thinking like just really quick on a side note, the more I was kind of like playing around with it and everything, I do wish that like I kind of at this point realized that I sacrificed a lot of like quality of life improvements for the player to focus and prioritize on like visual aspects. So everything looks visually really cool, but I do think that like having to use the calculators to keep track of your stats kind of sucks. So maybe like I'm not sure where this is going after Wednesday since that's when the prototypes are going to be shown and played and everything, but I was thinking that like maybe eventually cuz like Esteban did a great job coming up with all the stats for the monsters and enemies and stuff, but I'm thinking like at a later time we could like even change all the stats. Like I think you had mentioned too, Greg, like instead of having them be because like even though these numbers like 271 and 582 seems like random, Esteban did like all the math to make it like so everything is super balanced. So they're those numbers for a reason, but I think it would work better to try to like even them out to be like instead of 271 just make it 300 even and then make all the player cards like 1000 even, and then 1100 even for the health so that like when an enemy attacks, the players could get like little tokens, like say like a little red token that's worth 100 hit points. So then when the enforcer attacks for 300 attack, you get 3 little tokens to put on your card. And then even like, 1200 minus 300 is a much easier thing to kind of do in your head. And then you have the visual representation of the 3 coins that are each worth 100 attacks. So that would be something cool to do at some point. But like I said, kind of just like prioritize the visuals over the player experience over like quality of life improvements. It's like instead of trying to figure out a way to take out the calculators, I just thought I'll make it look really cool to draw people in. So
Yeah,
it's something to think about.
yeah, it looks great, and you're right, Creed. I mean, we always fall on one side of the line or the other.
Right.
It's pretty rare that we do this exact perfect amount of work on the graphics and the game mechanics. We're always, unless you got, and that's where having partners and teammates helps. If you figure out in advance, hey, I'm going to spend the bulk of my time on graphics, then maybe you can
Right.
get somebody else to do the mechanics, right?
Yes. Right.
Now, one quick question here.
Yeah.
You got the player mat and the enemy mat. Have you considered doing something like coloring one of them, like maybe a red, maybe that black photograph could be a red
Oh,
monotone or something like that?
yes, actually, that sounds like a good idea. Because I was thinking even like I put the forest for the monsters and then the city for like the human enemies. Because like it's monsters fighting humans, but you're the monster fighting the human enemy. So I
Okay.
was like kind of thinking like there's the visual representation. It's like a city, but even then like it's even hard to tell that it's a city even when you're playing like this. So that's pretty smart to make it like red for the enemy. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and the other one could be green or something. I
Yes,
mean,
right.
you can just go. Do you know how to use Photoshop well enough to put a color cast over that photo?
Kind of, yeah. I think I feel pretty comfortable with it enough to do that
Okay.
at this point. Because I've, like I said, just messing around with it in this class, I've gotten so much better.
Yeah, and you can always look it up, or if you have a question, let me know, and I'll just show you
Oh,
later.
definitely.
But I agree 100% with your comment. I think the graphics look great. Unfortunately, this is why deadlines are good, is because
Yes.
you have to commit to certain decisions, and then you're like, oh damn, you realize even before the deadline that it's an inferior play structure, but you're committed, right? And so you have
Yes. No. Exactly.
but what happens is, then people play and they say, God, we wish we had chips, and we wish you were round numbers, and you're kicking yourself every time. but then
Right.
it forces you to make that change.
Exactly. And that's what like I kind of just today, right before we came to class, I was just thinking like, I'm really happy with where the direction and where we ended up. Everything looks really cool. And even like the artwork, the redesigns that Eduardo is doing right now look really awesome. So I'm just happy in the direction that we ended up in. And I'm happy with the place that we're at now. But it's just like, yeah, I just can't help but like think about, oh yeah, it would be so much cooler to focus on trying to make the combat more intuitive and like make it even more interactive, with the tokens that you get from getting attacked, I think it would
Yeah.
be a lot funner to try to work that in at some point. But yeah,
Yep.
it's just like you were saying with the deadline, it was kind of just like, we're already here. It
Yeah.
looks good. I'm happy with what we have at least.
Now, is there going to be a graphic on the back of that stat card pile over there?
Yeah, I know. That's what this is. I think I want to try to figure out something for that.
Okay. Because it seems a shame that all the
It is.
graphics
I
look
know.
beautiful, and then there's just that one stat. Now, Creed, also, this round of playing with the prototype is not the last time we will play these games. So
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
after you play the prototype, you guys should definitely be taking notes and having discussions after
Right.
the game gets played, and then you make those changes, and then we get to play it again, and then it's a much
Awesome.
much improved game.
Cool. Yeah, because I just was thinking, I remember you mentioned that we would start working with Twine at some point, and so I didn't know if this was going to go to the back burner. But awesome, that's good to know because I really still want to make improvements and stuff like that. So
Okay. All right. Well, looks great, and thanks for sharing it.
yeah, of course.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything that they want to share, show us, get feedback on?
I can show a bit of more design work in my cards.
Perfect. I look forward to seeing them.
Let's see. We want that one. Okay, so let me fix something real quick here. Much better. Okay. So what we have is we simplified our decks, right? So our I will show those off in a moment. So we still have locations, and we still have, hands of mercenaries trying to claim locations by way of combined force, right? But instead, we draw locations, and instead of a mission, we draw a where are we? We draw a skimnet, and skimnet has become profiles of leaders. And what we have here is a bunch of the art from Livia. In here, there's a bunch of ones. That's one of Jesse's. But we created a new tier of resources, right? These leaders are not your end goal. They're acquired by, they'll be face down with a location here, and when you beat the location, you flip this up, and then suddenly these guys become your guards for that person. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. So what ends up happening is the other players can, build up their forces, and as long as they can beat your mercenaries in one of the two dimensions, either attack, defense, or stealth perception, then they take over guarding that person, and then they can use the resources for that person.
Oh, nice.
So right now, what our draw mechanic is, after every round, a new location gets drawn and a new person gets drawn. But and that kind of necessitates a PvP because player turns happen, once for each player per round. So players will constantly be going at each other to try to get the resources that they want. So we've got a couple here. Currently they're all balanced around a what are we at? 9 points. And all of the missions, which they are used to purchase, have opposing stats. So just like the mercenaries and locations, we have opposing stats here, except our missions are balanced around 15 points. So you're going to need at least 2 people to take on a mission. And then you buy the mission, and then that's part of your victory count.
Oh, very cool.
It's come a long way, Jess.
Yeah, seriously.
Thanks.
Looks really good.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's all I got. I am in the middle of, I guess, writing for, more leaders, getting the art integrated and all that. There's not much else going on. A couple of locations I added art to, but that's more of the open source, do anything with it sort of art.
Were you able to get to download Photoshop?
That is still pending. I have an error when logging into Adobe, and
Okay.
I'm going back and forth with Pima IT on that.
Okay, thanks. Okay, well, it looks great, and I look forward to seeing where it'll be on Wednesday.
Probably not too much further, but yeah, that's the core mechanic I have right now.
Okay. Well, it looks good.
Thank you. Where's my stop share button? Oh, there it is.
Okay, so Coulter says nothing to show yet. Sorry, not a problem. Anyone else have anything they want to share with us? Okay, while we're waiting to see if anybody's going to share anything, just a couple of notes about Wednesday. So obviously you'll want to have at least one person who's hosting Tabletop Simulator. You'll probably want to take, the location of your server and the password and just type it into the chat here for the class. And what we'll have to do when we start up the class on Wednesday is, assign people to go play certain games. Now, you guys are welcome to play your own games, or you can jump over and play somebody else's game. We're going to try and get, of all the available students, let's say there's 20 students and 5 games, we'll try to assign 4 students each game. So we'll split it up so everybody has a few people playing in their games. And then, of course, all of you who are in the class will want to have a Tabletop Simulator running so that you can put in that server information and that password and go access the game and play. Now, I recognize that some of you may be in a situation where you either can't use your computer or your computer's not powerful enough or whatever. If that's the case, maybe there's a way that you can observe some of the games playing. Like maybe I can leave Zoom on and have it pointed at one of the games and you can watch, or maybe you can be in communication via Discord or something with your team and see how things are going. But I'd like everybody to participate as much as humanly possible. Okay, with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys to work on your games, and I look forward to seeing what you'll have on Wednesday. All right, and I'll be here. I'll turn off my video, but if you have a question or you want some information, just pop in and ask, and I'll go ahead and answer it. And I'll check back in at the end of class. All right, thanks, guys. Have fun working on your games.
And there might be a fire alarm going off.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
I heard
what like. Yeah, you're right. That was what that sound. That's a good call on your part. I didn't know what that sound was, but that's what it sounds like. Okay, well, hopefully somebody can figure that out. Okay, have fun working on your games and let me know if you have any questions.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Where would we find a template for like the dice for Tabletop Simulator?
Oh God, good question. Let's see. I think in this. Did you look in the same place where the card templates are? Do you know where that is?
I did. I didn't see them hosting any dice or any like.
Oh,
thing.
you want to know something? I know how you can put designs on dice. There's something called stickers that you can use in Tabletop Simulator. It's one of the choices over on the left-hand side. And what happens is if you make a little graphic and you make it about the size of one side of a D6, let's say, and you import it, you can click on this little sticker thing and then you just go over and you just stick it to the side of a die and it makes that.
Alternately, I got a page here on custom dice for Tabletop Simulator.
Perfect. You want to put the link into
Yep.
the okay.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, Jazz.
No problem.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Have fun, guys. Let me know if you have questions.